Okay, great. Let's okay, so reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Canto 2, Volume 2, Chapter 2, Text 100. So I'm a little bit ahead maybe of where I was last week, left off, but I'll catch up here. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ānandaka-svabhāvo pi bhakti-māhātmya-darśanāt. Bhaktān harṣayituṁ kuryād durghaṭaṁ cha sa īśvaraḥ. The Supreme Lord by nature, the bestower of ecstasy, creates such unlikely situations to delight his devotees by showing them the greatness of devotional service. Om jnana-timirandasya gananjana shalakaya taksur unmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, greetings from New Jersey, on my way to the Revals, where Patrick will pick me up and I'll be up in Super Soul for a few days, and then Wednesday back to the Revals. Then, there's a function on the weekend, and then a week from this Monday, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. Radha Kunda, Shama Kunda, Giri Govardhan. So let me again, it's even, I'm studying with Niranjan Swami every day, and we do a few verses, and it's like peeling off layers of covering and discovering so many wonderful mysteries in the text. But I realize the next day, I don't remember where I was. I don't remember what happened. I don't know if it's with age or it's just the way the mind works now. So let's put this in kind of a context. We know that marvelous journey by Narada Muni, and that's the first book was Bhagavad Kripa Sar, the essence of the Lord's mercy. We're trying to find out what's the essence of it, who has that mercy. And it was just such a wonderful story, channeled by Sanatana Goswami, Samadhi Bhasya. In his Samadhi, he somehow, and interesting, I'm studying further, and I found out that Jaimini Rishi, who's, if you remember, one of the people that he's narrating the story about Maharaj Parikshit and Uttara, and the summary of the Bhagavatam to Uttara is the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. He's sitting there because he said, Bhava Anubhavam. Even by those Bhava Anubhavam who have direct experience of God, they can't understand these subjects. And that's what I'm realizing. Especially the first book with the highest recipients of Krishna's mercy are the people that are suffering the most. in and why that's the highest all these points, and just the kama roop, the form of lust, but not the consciousness of lust of these Radha and Krishna. So somehow or other, hearing with faith, then one can understand these things. And I'm experiencing that with Niranjan Swami. We're so many wonderful realizations are coming up and trying to understand the book, and the genius of Sanatana Goswami continually blows our mind. Continually blows our mind. Anyway, this whole book, and I'm looking at the list of people here. You've been following Narada's journey, different levels of intimacy and freedom in relationship in bhakti, culminating in the gopis, and presented in so many ways, culminating with Krishna telling Satyabhama, you know why the gopis are favored for me, and then explains the level of their devotion. But it didn't end there, because who caused all this commotion? Narada Muni Vajrada. Narada Muni came in looking for Uddhava, and he looking for the topmost devotee, and that whole conversation, this is the first book, that whole conversation began of, are they the most recipients of Uddhava? No, I've been there. I've seen their separation mood. I've seen their suffering. And the Jalpa Pratijalpa. And then Rohini and Balaram, yes, I've seen their suffering. How can you say that's mercy? How can you say that this is the Bhagavat Kripasar? How can you possibly say that? And that whole discussion, and it wakes up Krishna, and then he faints, and they bring him to Nubran, the whole thing. So the book ended, and I'm going to remind you this, the book ended with Narada Muni, who freely moves wherever he wants. Narada Muni is the patron saint for freedom. He goes wherever he wants. He's welcome. Krishna says, where's Narada? He says, he's hiding out. Why is he hiding? Bring Narada. And Narada says, I'm so sorry, I caused this disruption. And then another instance of how the gopis' love is highlighted. What do you mean I've caused this? What do you mean I've caused this disturbance? Reminding someone of one's beloved in the cause of separation is the highest ecstasy and the greatest benediction. And therefore, because you benedicted me, you can have any benediction you want. And Narada says, I wish that the devotees never have enough mercy. They never have enough devotional service. They never have enough prema. And Krishna looks at him. What kind of benediction is that? What kind of benediction is that? All the devotees have that, because that's the nature of bhakti. The nature of bhakti is a hankering for Krishna. And therefore, as your devotion increases, your lobha, your greed increases. And once you say, enough, bhakti is finished. That's not love. Real, pure love, prema bhakti, it's never enough. And we saw that with all the devotees that Narada went through. They never thought they had devotion. And it creates a type of humility. Krishna says, ask me another one. He said, okay, you can travel and give everybody Krishna consciousness and everybody will be in ecstasy. The holy name. So the point was, and the reason I'm doing this, because I just gave a 4-part summary of the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta to one group that I'm connected with also. Then the question is, what was the necessity for the second book? My mind was blown by the first book. What was the necessity for the second book? I mean, how much clearer can you present that? And what to speak of presenting it, but the way it builds up, where you see bhakti in all these different shapes and what it is. So you get an understanding of bhakti, you get a feeling of bhakti, and you come to the end and you say, well, what's the need for anything more? So I've studied this, and my realization is that this is such an easily misunderstood point for the conditioned souls in terms of logic, in terms of experience, that there's an erotic prem, there's a depressive prem, it's emotion, to get it and to actually understand it, that it's not actually what you think in the material world. It has similar forms, but it's so I think Sanatana says, no, they need more. And then the second part is Goloka Mahatmya, the glories of Goloka. And we discussed that. I don't need to repeat everything. That to understand this subject, you can understand the people, you can understand the place. Because the place is constructed according to the consciousness of the people. And if you know the highest place, you'll know the highest bhakti. And that's what the second book is to do. But there's also a difference, and I wrote down some of those differences, is, the first book, it's clear, logical, scriptural back conclusions, it satisfies the intellect. But the second book is more the feel of bhakti. Because see, Narada is like a celestial sage, so he's already perfect. But this Gop Kumar, he's very simple, he's very innocent, he doesn't know, he does the wrong things. So basically what it is the first book is the Siddhanta, the goal, and the second book is the demonstrating the path, the sadhana. What is the highest goal? The first book. How to attain it? The second book. The first book is where to go. The second book is how to go there. First book is more tattva. The second book has this element of rasa. First book's a little bit more the head, the heart. Gop Kumar. How he deals with things, how we follow him. And the power, and this is Raganuga Bhakti, that what drives you forward is your heart, not even the Shastra. Your feel for it. He's not very learned, but he has a feel for it. And this is also our understanding of ultimately what Diksha is. Divya Gyan, which means Bhagavat Swarup Gyan, Sabandha Visesh Gyan. A feel, it may be in a budding form. But you come into Krishna consciousness, you get your goal, and you get your identity in relationship to Krishna, even in a general way. And by the practice of devotional service, it becomes. But he's a Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Gop Kumar. He's a Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, so right from the beginning, he has that svabhavika gyan. But we see that he has this exclusive devotion that's always his driving force. And he can never ever be satisfied anyplace else, because that's who he is. It's like the fish can only be satisfied in water. So ultimately, you can only be satisfied in relationship to God. And ultimately, you can only be satisfied in your particular relationship with God. So we see his faith in the mantra, that the simplicity in environment, the simplicity in mind. Very frankly, I tell you, I prayed, I have simple faith. I got a very jnanic mind. But the simple, we know those devotees with simple faith. Not complicated, simple faith. Of course, you have to provide those who are authentic so people don't get cheated, but that simple faith that drives him forward, and the power of the mantra, to move him forward, his persistence, his detachment. I don't even remember where we are, because there's two books and they cover the same places, and I don't know, but I know. So then this second book is, going to explain the place, and it's going to explain the how to do this. And of course, you have Janamejaya, whose father is Maharaj Parikshit, whose grandfather is, his father is Maharaj Parikshit. So he's listening to this story, and it's completed, but he wants more. This is the nature of devotee. We saw that at Naimisharanya. Vayam natu vitript atma uttama shloka vartate yatrinvatam rasa gyanam swadu. Never become satisfied, never become full. You're satisfied, but you're never full. You always want more. So Uttara wanted more. Janamejaya, who was hearing from Jaimini Rishi, there must be more. He wanted more. And then Jaimini Rishi says, yes, Uttara wanted more. And she wasn't satisfied. She wanted to know. She knew that every place reflects the desires of the people in that place as you go through the universe. So she says, Rasa Krit, what is that place with a rasa dance done, where there's unlimited, para, extreme, kotinam, millions and millions of excellences are flowing into the hearts of these gopis. And I want to know, what is that place? And then Maharaj Parikshit says, okay, you're a snigde sishe. You're a loyal, faithful disciple. I will tell you, but I could do Shruti and Smriti, but there's an incredible historical narrative, and then tells the story of the Mathura Brahmin, and he meets Gop Kumar, and the Mathura Brahmin has the same problem that Gop Kumar had and solved. And his problem was, I have a mantra, I don't know the end of it, I don't really know the practice of it, I just know I'm attached to this mantra and it's moving me. And we know Gop Kumar is actually sent by Radharani. Because now Gop Kumar is already his eternal position. He's sent by Radharani, which is this other thing. And I made this point, when it's an original analogy I gave, that the lens for us to see perfectly is like a jigsaw puzzle. And our karmic experiences kind of fill in another part of the lens translucently. And sometimes you got everything together, but there's just one, and it's a very heavy one. It's a very, very heavy one. And sometimes people will judge you on that very, very heavy one, where actually you just need one more to see. A person may have many, many more experiences that he needs until he fully surrenders to Krishna, which gives him the ultimate lens. So this Mathura Brahmin, who was very kind of ignorant, materialistic, but somehow or other, he just needed one more thing, and Krishna was going to make sure he had it. And it appeared in the form of Radharani's mercy in terms of an expansion of Kamaksya, of Devi, who appears to him and enlivens him and gives him the mantra and gives him how to do it. And then, of course, he begins his journey and he becomes confused with the karmis, the karma kanda. And he becomes then the sannyasis at Kasi. My God, this doesn't work for him. And Shiva and Parvati and Gopal itself appear to him. Go to Vrindavan, go to Vrindavan, go to Vrindavan. And he goes to Vrindavan, and Gop Kumar says, he tells him about his life. Wow, this Gop Kumar is mystic. How does he know about me? And then he says, you got everything. You just need one more. You really have to learn about the Sankirtan of the holy names. He's got one more little lesson to learn. And generally, I don't tell my own story, he says, but then he tells the story of Gop Kumar, who has the same story. The mantra impels him forward. He's faith in what his guru gave him, but not really fully understanding. Has a lot of knowledge, which turns out to be an advantage because knowledge could be God's awareness, but that's not Braja Bhakti. Or it could be God's awareness so much that logically you conclude that God must be changeless. And if there's any change, it must be illusion. But anyway, so he goes from one place, then he goes to the next place, and Swarga, and he goes to Swarga Loka, and because of Indra is there with and then somehow he winds up, and each place there's some people that come. Each place, this hankering of Braj will not allow him to be satisfied in any place else. It will not allow him to be satisfied in any place else. And then he winds up somehow in Mahaloka, and it's more ecstatic, and they're worshiping these are Maharshis, these are great sages, and they're worshiping, and Yogeshwar comes, and he's attracted, but at the end of each sacrifice he becomes sad, and then God disappears, and he's sad, and he reappears. So he has this real feeling for God, but ultimately it's in a particular relationship. So he can only be satisfied to a certain level in association with the person you have a relationship who doesn't manifest it. You'll be happy. You'll be happy to see the person. Just like I was thinking that, there was a very thing that I wrote about a little bit about, there was an American Pope, and he had two older brothers. And the brothers were astounded. The older brother said, yeah, I can't give him. Does anybody here know what noogies are? This is a noogie. I don't know if it's a universal thing. we understand, like noogie. So the guy's my age. He said, I can't give a noogie anymore. And then he meets him in the Vatican. So he's happy to be with him, right? He's really happy. Imagine he's waiting in a long line and he sees his brother as the Pope. Amazing thing. But, it's not the place, the Vatican, he's sitting as the Pope. So each place that Gop Kumar was, it's actually his friend. He's sitting as the king. He's sitting as the king of Kavan, the king of Jagannath Puri. And then he went to Mahalok, and then Tapalok was even higher, and he's, like brilliant light. And he went to Tapalok, and he was like kind of satisfied. Tapalok was so ecstatic. And they would all meet, the sages would meet for philosophical discussion. Then they do their meditation. What's going on? Where is everybody? And that hankering for Braj, and that's where we are today. Because he's on Tapaloka, and he's like, this place is so ecstatic, but then everybody leaves. But then he's like feeling like he's feeling upset. Everybody leaves. Then no one will talk. They're all in samadhi. I don't know if we'd all be happy if everyone around us was in samadhi. Some people don't want any people around. They would love that. Some people would be upset. But so anyway. But then the place was so peaceful. And then when he began to chant in the mode of goodness, the name kind of like blossomed in his heart. The name just blossomed in his heart. And his desire to see the Lord actually increased. And so he said, I'm going to go now. And then one of the tapasvis, Pipalayana, he makes this whole treatise. And it's somehow a philosophical point. I have to tell you, I'm ahead of you people with Niranjan Swami. But I couldn't possibly have a class with these long philosophical purports and just read them for 10 minutes. After we read them for 10 minutes, we can't, what's going on? This is so deep. Sometimes the explanations, there's going to be an explanation against impersonalism. You realize when the six Goswamis wrote some of these books, a lot of the things they're referring to is other darshans and other philosophies. And I had one friend, he actually used to work for me in the Gurukul, and he became a pretty top Sanskrit scholar. Not Satyanarayan Baba. He also worked for me in the Gurukul. But another person who helped me with my waves of devotion. He would sit with me and read the Hindi commentaries, and he told me he was working on editing for the Jiva Institute, the Bhagavatāmṛta. He says, to know this, you just can't know the text. You have to know so many different darshans and philosophies and nyaya and this and what they're referring to. It's not so much. So I'm sometimes going to sub. So this is what happened. Pipalayan is going to argue the importance of the mind and kind of minimize the importance of the senses. I haven't gotten it yet. All I've gotten that the mind is the most important thing. So why leave the place? Looking for God with your eyes. Concentrate your mind. You'll see God everywhere. God is revealed in the heart, no place else. When the mind is clean, direct perception takes place. When the mind is happy, all the senses become happy because the ultimate sense is the mind. Without the senses, even if one acts, it will be without the mind. If one acts, it will be as if nothing has happened with the senses. And if God, out of compassion, reveals himself to the senses, it's actually only imagining the eyes to see. Even if seeing, where is bliss? Bliss is in the mind. And the proof is bliss continues even when the senses withdraw. And when the mind becomes peaceful, to that extent pleasure grows. No external sense feels expansion of pleasure. And look at Brahma. When he meditated on the Supreme Lord, he spoke with him, he talked with him, he touched him. It was all in the mind. And the fact is, the demons see God, but do they? Because look what their minds are like. And despite the all-attractive qualities of his beautiful form, demons continue to hate him. So what are these senses? It's the mind. It's the mind. And now today's verse, which a long purport I'm not going to read. How is it possible that demons perceive this dense bliss of God? Just like you have fire burns. So you have senses, they come in contact with the object, which is intense bliss. Why aren't they feeling bliss? And here in this verse it says, because God withdraws that bliss to show the power of devotional service in the mind. Okay, so that's where we got up to. I like going over these things. So now we'll try to do some more verses today. Bhaktān avabhidayam cha mukyam smaranam evahi tatsamagrandriya shreshna manovritti samarpanam. Of the 9 kinds of devotional service, remembrance is the chief. It is an offering of the activity of the mind, the most important of all the senses. Manovritti, the vrittis of the mind, samarpanam, that shreshta, that's the best offering. Bhakti, nabha, of the 9 processes, mukyam smaranam, that's the best. Later, this is going to be contested a bit because it's going to describe absorbing yourself in Nam Sankirtan as the most powerful effect on the mind. So there's some, it's going to be, I don't remember it right now. Purport, the sage's idea is that remembrance, smaranam, is superior to other devotional processes like hearing and chanting, shravanam and kirtan, because remembrance involves absorbing the mind and thoughts of the personality of Godhead. Where hearing and chanting engage only the senses of hearing and speech, were subordinate to the mind and therefore less important. Antar agantar agam tu prema bhaktim yata ruchi tatum arhat yavisramam mana eva samahitam. Only the mind fixed in meditation can unceasingly offer the Lord that offering which is most confidential, loving devotional service that follows one's natural taste. Natural taste within the mind, loving devotional service within the mind. The external objects, including the senses, are meant just to carry the emotions or to invoke the emotions. But the emotions is bhakti, the emotions is what's offered to Krishna. Purport. The sage Pipalayana reasons that although Jnana and Vairagya bring one close to the absolute truth, only devotional service in prema brings one the most intimate proximity, into the most intimate proximity. And prema can develop only by full concentration of the mind, since only the mind, the superintendent of all the senses, can properly engage each sense with its objects. Devotional service rendered with the mind is secure, for it is unlikely to become disrupted. So ultimately it's the mind. And what's the main principle of devotional service? To remember Krishna and not to forget him. So we value the external activities of devotion to the extent that they influence the mind. And service for Krishna done with the external service senses is pleasing to Krishna to the extent of the mind. Okay, this is an important verse. Ashesha sadanai sadhya samastarta dika yo vishi karane gado payo bhagavato daya tat pasadaika labhyo yas tad bhaitaika mahadnidhi vichitta paramananda madhurya bharapurita mahan nirvacha mahatmya padartha prema samgaka parinam visheshehi cheto vritte udeti sa. Now, this is going to talk about prema. There is one goal of all disciplines, asesha of all sadhana disciplines, sadhya, goal, samasta, all artha achievements. The goal of all disciplines, the highest achievement, adhika, the most, adhikar means qualified, the qualified of the qualified. So there is one goal of all discipline, one highest attainment of all, the one potent means to bring the Supreme Lord under one's control. Only by the mercy of the Lord can it be attained. This is all prema bhakti. It is rare, exclusive treasure of his devotees, a treasure rich with every sort of transcendental ecstasy and sweetness. Its wonderful glories are beyond the power to describe. That attainment is called prema, and it arises from special transformations of the functions of the mind. So it's the mind. So to uphold and further explain the statement of previous verses, text 103 through 105 describe the 7 characteristics of love of Godhead. First, prema is the goal of all disciplines, is karma, jnana, and vairagya. It is the ultimate goal of existence. So even though worship of the Lord is superior to religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, prema is superior to all forms of formal worship. Prema, in fact, is the very goal of worship. Prema pumartha mahan. Second, prema is the only sure means to bring the absolute independent Lord under control. It is the chain by which the Lord's dearest devotees bind his lotus feet to subdue him as one would subdue a mad elephant. Third, prema is attained only by the favor of the Supreme Person, never by one's own strength. Fourth, prema is the greatest treasure of the Lord's devotees, indeed their only treasure, for it easily fulfills all their desires. Fifth, it is full to overflowing with varieties of transcendental bliss, so attractive that they ridicule the so-called ecstasy found in impersonal realization of the Supreme. And therefore, sixth, its intimate glories are beyond description. Finally, seventh, prema arises from the activity of the mind. Okay, I have to get traveling, and I also have another class after this, and I have to pack, so I'll end now, but I do have time. I do have time for some Jamuna Jaya, anything?
Yes, Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for class. I'm glad that we went over that list of what prema is. I had written it down last time, and I was just checking my notes. But there were 2 things I really, I really loved a lot. One is that that this thing that Radharani sent Gaurakumar to this Brahmin. And I've always loved that we don't know the Brahmin's name. He's just sort of, and I sort of feel like maybe that's the path for all of us, that Radharani is sending a Gaurakumar into our own lives. We are the Brahmin, we can follow his journey like that because he doesn't have a name. We can like, is that our journey as well?
That's right. He's a nameless
He's
Jyotish Brahmin from Mathura.
that's right.
Yeah,
And then the other thing I really loved is this idea about the jigsaw puzzle.
yeah,
Really love that, especially when you said about how we're supposed not to judge other people. We're
yeah.
seeing like the one piece that's missing in someone and not seeing the whole puzzle. And in our lives, it's like what is that one piece that we're looking
Right,
to find?
right, right,
I really love that.
right. Good. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Raj.
Gail?
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. Yeah, I just want to confirm one for the 1000th time that the Gopal Kumar was the one sent by Radharani to try and guide
This
the
Mathura
mature.
Brahmin, yes.
Yeah, he's guiding him with his own personal story since it's parallel to the Mathura Brahmins.
Yes, it's the same because he had the mantra, he didn't know much about it, and he's kind of moving, and he winds up in Vrindavan, and Gop Kumar gets from his guru on the, he's just a simple cowherd boy from a Vaishya family. He sees this beautiful Brahmin who's in ecstasy and chanting, and the Brahmin, because they're cowherd boys, becomes a little attracted to them, and then tells Gop Kumar that I will come back tomorrow. I'll give you the mercy of God. And then he said, here it is. And he gives him the mantra. Then the guru begins to explain it. He goes in ecstasy and wanders off. But he'll see his guru again 2, 3 more times by coincidence.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, just now you said, who was attracted because he's a cowherd boy?
This is the guru of Gop Kumar.
Uh-huh. He's attracted by...
They're just cowherd boys. He's in a bob of ecstasy. He's in Vrindavan. So Gop Kumar is a simple kind of cowherd boy. He's a Vaishya.
Uh-huh.
Takes care of cows.
Yeah, and so...
And I'd have to say, throughout the text, we'll see always how attractive Gop Kumar is. So even though he has knowledge, he has simple faith, simple heart. He's very innocent. People like that are very, very attractive.
Yeah, yeah. But Gop Kumar's guru, he was attracted by Gop Kumar because Gop Kumar was a cowherd boy.
Yeah, he was a cowherd boy. He was a cowherd boy in Vrindavan. He was very simple.
Mm-hmm.
They have swabhavika bhakti. Just be born there. They have something. Yes.
Okay, Maharaj, going back to this conundrum about what is the importance of the senses since
Yeah.
Krishna reveals in the heart or in the mind, whatever. So I'm just remembering how you have said in the past that, to see something or to get realization about something, you kind of have to see it externally first, no? And then once you have a conception of it externally, you can kind of get a realization of it. Like it's like a different.
I mentioned that there's 5 factors. I don't know if I got them in order, but I said the senses, the attention, the understanding, the attitude, and mercy.
Yeah. So, I'm just thinking that is how the senses are instrumental in this puzzle. Let's say that, we need.
The knowledge acquiring senses. You first have to perceive something.
Yeah.
But what we're saying here is well, anyway, he's saying the perception is mostly in the mind. And I told you, Gail, I haven't figured this out, so I'm not going to be able to answer it because
I know, but I'm trying to.
Yeah, we'll talk about it some other time too. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mm.
Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna, Gurudev.
Jai Shri Radhe, Haribo.
Thank you so much for the class, and I'm very happy that you're going to Vrindavan so soon.
And I'm so happy that you found out that the best place in the world to live is New Jersey.
That's true.
I know, you had to learn it by going to Siberia, beautiful Siberia.
Yeah.
But you found out. I got word that you were hankering. You were hankering. Oh, where is my New Jersey? We never thought that would happen. Okay. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. Thank you very much for the class.
Wow. You're still in Tehran.
Yes, I am, Maharaj.
Okay, you look very happy. That's nice.
Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna, Mars, Radhika here. Thanks for the class.
Wow, great to see you. Right after
Thank you,
seeing
Mars.
your mother. Thank God there's WhatsApp or whatever to do. You could still communicate with us. I'm sure every day. But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Sivat, thank you for class.
Yvette, Haribo.
Haribo.
Okay, you're in Transcendental Philadelphia?
I am.
Okay.
Nice that you acknowledge it's transcendental.
Not Philadelphia, but Transcendental Philadelphia. Your house. Okay, Haribo.
Haribo.
Anybody else? Say hello.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Govinda.
And Bṛhad, thank you for class.
Thank you for class.
Great to see both of you guys and girls. You know our language, Bṛhad.
I always say guys, no matter who it is. I say, hey guys.
We're from that wonderful patriarchal culture that your father brought up and I grew up in, of course. Okay, you know these things. Okay.
I'm not offended, yeah. I know.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Hamala Tarada. Thank you so much for class.
Yeah, I'll get back to you tomorrow, the next day. Okay?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Krishna-katha. Thank you greatly for the class. And is it true, did I understand correctly, that all the outer activity is just to focus us on the thinking on Krishna? Is it true?
Well, yeah, the
we
mind,
have to
in that
concentrate?
sense, yes. All the senses are engaged in Krishna's service, but the impressions take place in the mind, yes. Okay, thank you. Okay.
But why then we have so much so much practical services?
Because it fixes the mind on Krishna.
Thank you.
Because without the senses being fixed, our mind won't be activated at this level. If we focus the senses, then the mind will be activated. Like if we do vyasa-puja, manasa chanting, I don't think we'll remember everything. We chant out loud, it helps. Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for class.
Ishwari, Hare Krishna, nice to see you. Good. You're being big. I like to see that. Okay. Anybody else say hello? Okay, I'm going to look at the list and thank every single person. I'm going down the list, so I know all of you. Thank you so much. Radhe, Radhe, Hari, 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 Bo.